Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're doing a recap and review of Married at First Sight Season 12 Episode 15 Retreat Ready. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. If you like the video, hit that like button, and also feel free to drop a comment down in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. So with this week's episodes, the experts arrange a couples retreat where it will give the couples a chance to reflect on their marriages and open up about their issues. And there's 1 week left until decision day, and it's very important that they put everything out there on the table. And especially given that most of the couples are having issues. So this was going to be an interesting week. So guys, I'm telling you, it's been a long season, even with these couples, because one of the couples are no longer there. But it's definitely something that we have to talk about tonight. So let's talk about Haley and Jacob first. So as usual, they always get off to I would say a good start, but instead of just making each other uncomfortable, they have definitely moved on to making the other couples experience it as well. But even before that, they didn't even ride up to Hilton Head together. Haley left first, and then Jacob packaged up his stuff, and then he left. And they are their most happiest when they're alone, it seems like. So it is what it is with these two. We know that they're pretty much doomed. However, Jacob arrives to the house first. And the thing is, he was hungry. And I think she was like 45 minutes late, I think. But Haley shows up and she is upset to find him eating 8 eggs when he's supposed to be helping her cook for everyone. And now, to be fair, he wasn't sure what time she was coming. But he had already waited 45 minutes. So he was like, you know what? I'm hungry. I'm about to fix me some eggs. It is what it is. I ain't waiting for these folks. So let me know what you think. Should he have waited for everyone and help Haley cook? Or being that it was 45 minutes later, should he have went ahead and fixed his own meal? Because obviously he was hungry. But yeah, she was pissed, and she definitely made it known. You could see it on her face. He's like, dang, you couldn't wait. So let me know your thoughts on this particular situation, because this was definitely a big deal for her. So it's now dinner time, and their bickering and arguing continues. Haley takes offense to him saying that he didn't learn anything throughout their marriage. And that, he said it has been one long, bad date. And to be honest, he's not lying. And my thing is his take on it. You can't expect him to feel a certain way, just like he can't expect you to feel a certain way about whether you learn something or not. Now, that whole bracelet situation is different, and I'm going to go over that when we do the unfiltered video, so look out for that, because Jake had a lot to say in that episode. But the thing is, she was really nitpicking this situation because of what his responses were. And I even think Brianna chimed in and said, oh yeah, I know he learned something. He just don't want to talk about it. You cannot read the inner machinations of somebody else's mind. And at this point, if Jake says that he really hasn't, and he's pretty much shut down, leave him be. It makes the situation worse with Haley trying to, pull something out of him. It just didn't make sense, that whole argument. And she kept on and on. She kept nitpicking, and he wasn't budging. One thing about Jake, he is almost 40. And, sometimes as the older you get, the more set in your ways you get. I know she's trying to get him to speak on something that he really don't want to speak on. Or if it's the truth, maybe he felt that he didn't learn anything. So She just need to leave him alone. So now, the couples play this Married at First Sight version of the Newlywed Game. And surprisingly, the couple that tends to is doing the worst and kind of hate each other the most is definitely doing quite well in this game. Haley and Jacob seem to know so much about each other in comparison to the other couples. And the thing is, I mean, they was just scoring points left and right. It was crazy. So, I mean, if you take the emotion and the back and forth away from them, they actually have taken out a lot of time to get to know each other because that's all they do is talk. They don't do anything else. So I guess that's how they were able to win this thing by, being able to remember some of the things that they talked about. And of course, they pull out a win as Team Harambe. They had this little trophy that the show gave them, and she drunk some wine out of it or whatever her alcohol choice was. And then, of course, Jake followed up. But it was definitely shocking. Let me know what you think, because they got a lot of issues, but they knew the most about each other over the other couples. So I found that very, very interesting. But it almost seemed like it kind of brought them a little bit closer. It seems that Haley is extremely competitive, so she gets a rise out of, having some type of competitiveness. So now they actually had to do where they had to write letters that express each other's good qualities. Now, I didn't know what to expect, especially after doing the whole exercise of the letters to their younger selves. They actually shocked me with this one because they actually wrote pretty good letters about each other's good qualities. And let me know what you think about that, guys, because they gave each other compliments. They were actually smiling at each other while doing it. And I thought it was pretty cool. And they even had a little fun at the lobster boil that they were doing. So they had ups and downs. It's pretty crazy. But don't get too excited. They both stayed in separate rooms and they leave the retreat alone. And Jake left and snuck out at first. I don't know if this was a work situation. He had to get back. But they made it look like, he didn't let anybody know anything because Haley came looking for him. And being that, of course, he's not there, she went and asked, Virginia and Eric, have they seen him? And they told him, especially I think it was Eric, say, oh, yeah, he checked out already. And so she looked disappointed by that. I think she actually said she thought she was getting somewhere with their connection, but I doubt it. So let's talk about this next couple, Virginia and Eric. And I mean, tension was thick enough as it is. Throw Virginia and Eric in the mix, especially after they kind of taken a cue from Haley and Jacob. So on the way up, it started out bad. I mean, they have these highs and lows in their relationship, and they got to arguing in the car on the way up. They decided to bring those negative vibes in front of everyone at the little, sit down dinner that they had when Eric announced that he has to learn patience with Virginia. And he asked that he wants to be the most important person in her life, but he isn't. Yikes, that was blunt. But Virginia doesn't miss a beat when she reminds him that they've only known each other for a month and a half. Yeah, so she definitely threw some serious shade in that moment. And those two definitely went back and forth. So then they had also this little sit down thing at the lake, and it didn't end there. I mean, they were still going at it. They were still going back and forth. They don't know if this constant arguing is going and making up is going to be sustainable long term. And I'm glad that he see that, because those highs and lows, it's not healthy. It can become toxic. So, and it's definitely not the good way or healthy way for them to communicate. But, I mean, she's definitely sitting there. She's taking it in, and they're just going back and forth. I mean, one moment they're lovey-dovey, and the next moment they're just, like, annoyed. That's their favorite word. They get annoyed with each other. Well, it continues on. So now there's this group dinner. And Virginia announces that she plans on going back to her apartment until Eric can sell his home and they find a new one. Now, of course, Eric is not happy about that since he had already told her he doesn't like that idea. But Virginia is definitely, she's not moving and she lays that law down. I mean, the argument continues so much forward that once, they were going back and forth. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, and the thing is, they even had a sidebar argument, which led into this whole thing about cats. Because they took that conversation after they were talking about moving. And the thing is, he's still paying a mortgage on that house. And it's a nice condo. But she said that the condo is not animal friendly. And so she's not giving up her pets. And at the same time, as we're speaking about pets, some of those pets are cats, which he has an allergy to. But the thing is, he's like, well, can you give the cats away? And she's like, I'm not giving up my animals. And this conversation go back and forth, and it even led right until they headed off to their bedroom. And Virginia is still refusing to acknowledge that Eric is allergic to her cats. In fact, she even tells him that she has to sleep with her cats and he will be okay if he take medication. Now, I do know that some people do that. My mom loves lobster and shrimp and she's allergic to shellfish. She takes allergy medicine for it because she chooses to. That's not everybody's choice. He might not want to take a whole bunch of medication just because the cats are sleeping in the bed. And for her to not see that, that this is her husband, things have to kind of shift a little bit. Compromise is necessary. And I think like one of the other couples told them, can they meet halfway in the middle? It just doesn't seem that they want to do that. And I mean, it's crazy. And I mean, even myself, me and my daughter, we're allergic to cats. We got rid of them. We had a later allergy, but we got rid of them. So Virginia got some decisions to make. So let's talk about this next couple, Vincent and Brianna. And Vincent, Brianna plans a horseback riding activity for their date. And they talk about this in front of the group. And she surprised him with this. And the thing is, this is an interesting scenario because I've been seeing the comments on social media. And some people are saying there are people that are afraid of horseback riding and jumping out of planes and skydiving. If that's for you, fine. If not, fine as well. Whereas others are saying, well, this is a marriage. Why not do what your partner wants you to do? So it's an interesting scenario. I mean, Brianna wanted to do this as a surprise. She's a lot more adventurous than he is. I mean, knowing their zodiac signs, I know she's a Gemini. He's a Capricorn. Geminis are very adventurous. Capricorns are a little bit more grounded and settled. So to kind of get him out of that shell, Brianna going to have to put in some work. Because Capricorns, just like other earth signs, tend to be a little bit more stubborn and immovable. Not much as maybe a Taurus person, but yeah. But anywho, the other thing is that there's his fears of looking stupid. He's very concerned about that. And I mean, he mentioned the fact of this 2-ton animal that could flip over while he's on it, or it takes off and it runs wildly and he loses control. I get that part. But I mean, he has somebody training him. There's a person that's walking side by side. But, Brianna, isn't, she seemed like she's being patient, but you can tell she's like, you know what, I'm going to need him to step out of his comfort zone and, get out there and do some of this fun stuff, because this is what she wanted in a partner. Now, my question is, if she put that on her form when she signed up for the show and he put something opposite, why did the experts put these two together? That's a good question with a lot of these couples. I mean, did they put this stuff together for drama, knowing if he's not that adventurous and she is, that could be a conflict unless he chooses to step outside of that and be able to do some of these fun things with her. Now, I will give Vincent props for the fact that he did go ahead and do it for her, because he said that he wants to do whatever it takes to make her happy. So even though he was hesitant, and he definitely put a smile on her face, he did it. Now, she did talk to him afterward about the whole horseback riding experience. And he was like, it was okay. And then he was like, but I don't know about jumping out of planes and skydiving and zip lining and all of that. Now, people can be really fearful of heights. So, I mean, unless he chooses to get over that fear, or she has a little patience for him, getting out of that, that's going to be tough, because if that's something that she wants to do and he does not want to do it, who's going to cave in, and then who's going to have regrets? Because a person that wants to do something and they won't, and their partner won't, they're going to feel a lack. And then vice versa, if you make somebody do something that, they really don't want to do. So, I'm still rooting for Vincent and Brianna. We'll see what happened with them. But, yeah, these two got to figure out how they can meet in the middle as well. So our last couple on this episode is Clara and Ryan. Now, they arrive to the couple's retreat a day later than everyone else, because I think Clara had to work. She's a flight attendant. And, their conversations were pretty nice. She still has the issues of waiting on Ryan to tell her how he really truly feels, if he's in love with her, because she wants to hear it. It's one thing to see it, but she want to hear it. So once they get to the house, they get right into the swing of everything with the other couples. And, I mean, they pretty much having a good time. Everybody's glad to see each other. And, the thing is, Ryan is so quiet, and he has a poker face to me. I cannot read his emotions, his expressions. You only see it in his actions. So I don't know if he's just not an emotional person, and he's more of, you see it in what I do. But I find that interesting. And what else I found interesting, the conversation between Clara and Virginia. Because they had this little sidebar conversations about their relationships and their husbands. However, when they get into these confessionals with production, they're talking about each other a little bit. So I know these two, I wonder if they look back and see this episode, whether they'd be like, maybe I shouldn't have told my business so much. So Clara and Ryan decide to go paddle. I think it's called paddle boarding or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But it was a little fun activity. I mean, they definitely looked like they had a little bit of fun. I think Christina and Henry did this in last season episode. And I think Christina fell in the water, if I can remember. But they doing it this particular season, I should say. And again, I cannot read Ryan's face. And the thing is that he's just not showing that emotion. He's showing it in his actions. And even when I watch him on Unfiltered, he says, oh, definitely I see myself getting there. I'm just not ready yet. So whatever his reasons are, you got to let people move at their own speed. Everybody said the same thing about Miles and Karen from season 11, how Karen took her time. And those two, well, that's from what we saw. Karen says a different story behind the scenes, which is great because, but they also, are in the same boat. So Ryan and Clara also had to write letters, and the letters that Ryan had wrote to her brought her to tears. He didn't say I love you at the end of his letter, but he did say love Ryan, and I think she took that to heart. And she took it for what it was. Because when I even said, I'm like, oh, he said love Ryan. So, yeah, she definitely went into her emotions after he said that and read the letter to her. And you can tell Clara wears her heart on her sleeve. And she also was emotional when she read her letter to him. And then, they kissed each other when everything is done. However, Clara did also open up, about her past to the women. She appreciated how Ryan treats her. He's so different, from all of her other relationships. But she definitely wants this man to tell her how much he wants her and that he loves her. And it's taken so slow, I actually think it will happen, but it's going to be on Ryan's timeline. So let me know what you think about Virginia's lack of concern about Eric's cat allergy. Will Ryan ever reciprocate Clara's feelings? And is there any hope for Haley and Jacob? And also, will Vincent venture out of his comfort zone? So we'll see. So let's do our post notification shout out. If you want to be shouted out, drop a comment. I will see you and shout you out. This one goes to Lisette. Thank you so much for your comment and engagement in the channel. I really appreciate it. And then last but not least, Rhonda Anderson. Thank you as well for your comment and your engagement in the channel. I really appreciate it as well. So until the next video, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you soon.